Ready? Okay, hi there. I wanted to do another little instructional video because not only is the entire world out of elastic right now, but it seems to be out of bias tape. And we're still here making masks. So I wanted to give anybody that needs a little help with that, help in just using some fabric to make bias tape. Now, I will say first off that I'm not really making bias tape, but I'm making a single fold tape out of straight pieces of fabric. So what I have done is I found a piece of gray fabric here that that's very generic, so it'll look good with anything I do. And I figured out yesterday that I like my strips to be cut 1.5 inch or 1.25 inches. So I'm just going to cut a couple of strips here and kind of walk you through the process. All right, you're going to be putting it together initially like you would binding for anybody that quilts. I do have a piece here that is left over from what I've been doing. So I'm going to come to the sewing machine and sew these together as if it's a binding. Okay, so you want to sew that at a 45-degree angle. So I put them down like this, and then I'm going to sew from this edge to this edge. Okay. And we're not going for perfection here again. So there's that one, and then I just bring the end of this one up and flop this down on it. And okay, so there's two done. Now what I'm going to do is take a bigger pair of scissors and I just whack it off, leave about 1/4 inch on these. Okay. Now on these seams, because they fold over on themselves so much, you always want to do a diagonal, because what's going to happen is this is going to be folded in both ways and then folded. So if you did a straight seam, you would have a whole lot of bulk right there. So the diagonal seam makes it so that you don't have so much bulk. Okay, now we're going to go to the ironing board. And this is the slick part. So this is a piece that I had already had, so I'm going to start on the other end. So the first thing that you want to do, and you can zoom in here, Megan, I kind of, at the very first time I did this, I would fold this in about 1/4 inch and press, okay, just on this very end. Give it a little press, and then here also fold in about 1/4 inch, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. Okay, so that's what we want to start with, approximately. Okay, now the part where this is going to be easier so you don't burn your fingers a lot, because my iron always burns my fingers, is you take a pin, just a regular pin, and you're going to use your ironing board. And what you're doing, and I already kind of have this figured out how wide I want mine to be, you anchor it and then you leave the opening here for as wide as you want this to be, your bias tape. Okay, so then you're going to thread it under there like this. All right, thread it like that. Give it a good start, good press. And then what you do is you just pull it through, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, pull it through, give it a shot of steam. I like steam, love my steam iron. And so this is the process. Just, it makes it, and you kind of have to guide it a little bit. You can see I don't want one edge to be, but it's not a perfection thing, because this is what I do here. And now let's go over to the other sewing machine where I already have some made. I've cut them the length that I need them after they're all pressed, and then I just come to this sewing machine. And okay, let me back up and say these are being used as a drawstring for the sides of these masks that my daughter and I are making, and all the kits that I've put together. If you're making the other style of mask where your bias tape needs to cover the edges, okay? If you're doing bias tape here and bias tape here, and then it has two ties on the side, you're probably going to want to make your tape a little bit wider, because it's going to need to encase to go over and be sewed down on this. Okay, that's not what I'm doing with mine. So I wanted mine thinner so that it would go through my casing easily. So, but it's totally doable. And there's, in these projects, these masks, there is absolutely no reason to spend the time making bias tape, because you don't need the stretch, because you're not going around corners. That's why you would need bias if you're binding something that's circular or has rounded corners. So then the way I do it is I open it up and I fold this end in, and then I fold it back like this. And then I fold it in half like that. And machines really don't like to start on this, but this machine, I always grab the threads so I can pull on them. I try to backtrack a little bit at the edge there. But then I am still using a zigzag stitch, because if it does have a little bit of give to it, because I did cut these on the crosswise grain and not the lengthwise grain of the fabric, so they will have a little bit of stretch. And I don't know, I guess since I'm doing it's easier to catch it and not have to go back, and if you miss something with the straight stitch, because that's really easy to do. And I'm going to show you, I found that doing these, because they don't like to start on the edge, I like to mass produce these. So just bear with me for a minute. Get to the end. And you can see, I'm not really taking any time with these, because it's a drawstring. It's not going to be inspected. I'm not entering these in the fair. So, this is just, and I don't like it's, there we go. So coming up to the end, so at the end I do this again, I fold it up in there, and you know, it's just personal preference. You can do it however you want. Or you can leave it just raw edges and tie a knot, which I fold mine in plus tie a knot, because when these are laundered, I don't want the ties to come out of the casing, so that's why I tie the knot in them. So when I get to the end here, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit, and then it seems to be easier to me to mass produce these, to do a bunch at a time, because it's already got a big hump there that it's going over. So I'm going to get this one ready, and then I'm going to open that up. And then when it gets started, I use this back one to kind of pull it through. And that's it. And I hope this helps somebody, because we're still mass producing over here. So be blessed today. Bye-bye.